Spoilers! Spoilers! This video has massive spoilers! Spoilers! Robin's boobs! Pancakes! Spoilers! Deacon's the guard that appears in that one minor scene from the Shawshank Redemption! Spoilers! Okay, we good? Alright, if you haven't clicked off the video yet, then that's your own problem, okay. So, in the last chapter of One Piece, which includes spoilers, chapter 967, we find out something interesting about the One Piece treasure, which explains the copious amount of spoiler warnings, okay? What do we find out about the One Piece treasure? This is your last option to cash out your chips and leave. We find out that Joy Boy was the one that left the One Piece treasure at Laugh Tale Island. Now, to me, personally, that didn't really seem that surprising, honestly. I mean, maybe you were genuinely blown back by that, like, whoa! But you have to remember, we know very little about the Void Century already, and up until Toki, that was just introduced, properly in the last few chapters in this flashback, the only two named characters that we knew for a fact lived during the Void Century, were Joy Boy and Poseidon, which was the name of the mermaid princess that was like Joy Boy's lover, or fiance, or wife, or girlfriend, or I don't know, maybe Poseidon friend-zoned Joy Boy, I don't know, but they had some kind of relationship, okay? Now we know that other characters probably lived during that time period, like there was definitely the ancestors of the Will of D, that they started the Will of D, or the Clan of D, like Luffy and Dragon's ancestors lived during that time period. Eam, we have no idea what's up with Eam, if Eam's a ghost, or if he's a zombie, or if he's just an immortal human, so he might have possibly lived back then. So yeah, that's all we got. So I'm like, alright, this guy that we know left an apology letter to Poseidon on the Poneglyph at Fishman Island, this guy that we know has a lot of significance, that lived during the Void Century, had something to do with the promise involving the Noah. This was the dude that also left the One Piece treasure, whatever it would happen to be, on Laugh Tale Island, which Roger then discovered, okay? And this is kind of built up a little bit by Roger saying, oh, Joy Boy, I wish I could have been born in your era, as he's looking upon the treasure of One Piece, and the first thing he says after he's done letting out a big, hearty, mustache Roger gut laugh is, oh, Joy Boy, oh, I wish I could have been born in your era. So, that implies that, yeah, I guess Roger doesn't specifically say, this was a treasure left to us by Joy Boy, but the fact that he's looking at the treasure and the first thing he says is Joy Boy, it's implied that, yeah, Joy Boy had some relevance to this treasure. He put it there. Maybe his name was inscribed on the treasure. I said in the review, maybe there's like a giant, like, naked portrait of Joy Boy in front of the One Piece, or it's his golden underwear, platinum underwear. I don't know what it is, okay? So, we're gonna be talking about this today. I'm just saying, just out of the gate, I wasn't super surprised when I found that out, okay? If you would have said something like, yeah, it turns out that Gaimon left the One Piece on Raftel or Laugh Tale, and Gaimon turns out to be this immortal being, that the Straw Hats met all the way back in the East Blue, that would have been surprising, okay? But Joy Boy's like, alright. So who the hell is Joy Boy? I don't know. I made a whole video about him around last year, but, it would appear I made that video a little bit too early. It came a little bit too early. If I would have waited a whole year more, I would have had something to go with here. Okay, so, popular theory that's around, because the whole idea now, it's before we had no idea what the One Piece treasure was. Oda was really good at not dropping hints about it. Remember back at Sabaody when Usopp was like, hey Rayleigh, what's up with the One Piece? And Luffy's like, Usopp, shut your hole! We're not talking about the One Piece. I don't want to know about the One Piece. I don't care if there even is a One Piece. I just want to go on an adventure with my friends. I'm not going to go on an adventure that's not fun. And Usopp, thankfully, Usopp came down with a very rare medical disease at that exact moment. I'll die if I learn about the One Piece disease, okay? This affects only a few people, so it was very, very rare that Usopp were to get it, but he ended up contracting it at that exact moment, okay? I'm just assuming from this point onward that all of Usopp's bullshit turns out to be true. And yeah, I know in the last chapter that, I'll die if I go to that island disease. That was something that was cooked up by 4chan that just made its way into the translations, but I don't know, that does sound like something Oda might turn out to be true. Like, that's not something that's just like, oh, well, that's just a joke. There's no way that could actually happen in One Piece. But anyway, no, okay, so Oda's been pretty good about not dropping hints about the One Piece, because that's the whole name of the manga, the whole premise is they're going to try to find this damn thing, right? But now, finally, we have something to go on. We don't know what Laugh-Tale Island looks like. We don't even know, like even when the Roger crew were all laughing their asses off, I was trying to, like, pick apart the panels, trying to see if I could see anything on the ground or in the background, like, oh, Laugh-Tale has weird plant life or something. No, we don't see anything, okay? So we don't get anything from that regard. We, of course, don't see the treasure itself. We just know that the first reaction that Roger had, as well as all the other members of his crew, were to laugh at whatever the One Piece turned out to be. So, a popular theory that I've been seeing, and it would make sense why this would make Roger laugh once I explain it to you. I believe Sawyer also talked about this as well in his review, but the idea is that because in that same chapter we were talking about the ancient weapons a lot, we were talking about Poseidon and how Shirahoshi is going to be born in 10 years, and then she's going to grow up and she's going to become the next Poseidon, the mermaid princess, that's the ancient weapon. Obviously the ancient weapons are involved here. Rayleigh talked about how, oh yeah, Neptune, we're not looking to use the ancient weapons, we just want to see the people that created the weapons, what they left behind in terms of the treasure. So that connects Joy Boy back to being, I'm sure Joy Boy didn't do all of this by himself. Joy Boy, in my opinion, right now in the story, is the progenitor of the D clan. All right, that's where he's at right now in my head canon. Joy Boy was the boss of the D's, or he's the one that bequeathed, the D's onto these people, sort of like Yuha Bach from Bleach. He's just like, I give to you now the initial D, and you the initial D, and you the initial D. A lot of Askanak Levars walking around, but no, he's the one that created the clan as an opposition to the world government, gathered everybody together. Joy Boy eventually ended up meeting his end, which is why he left the apology letter to Poseidon and to Fishman Island. He's just like, I'm really sorry, I couldn't fulfill what I was trying to do with the Noah and everything. I died before I could make that happen. So he's got to leave it to his descendants. He has to leave it to the clan that he created and the descendants of said clan, which is the D clan, okay? So they're also tied very closely to the ancient weapons, also very tied closely to the ancient kingdom. This is probably all gonna coalesce in one big thing, like, oh yeah, Joy Boy was the king of the ancient kingdom. Then the world government took over. Then the ancient kingdom created these super ancient weapons to defeat the world government, but they didn't use them for some reason. They were afraid that they would maybe destroy the world, so they didn't use them, so they hid them. So they also created the Poneglyphs. Like, this is all gonna, all these little pieces are all gonna melt down, I think, into one big pot, and we're all gonna get like, oh, okay, that's how all this clicks together. It's all nice little like puzzle, puzzle pieces are all fitting together, and everything's gonna be nice and neat and tidy by the end of the story, okay? But we were talking about the ancient weapons last chapter, but Shirahoshi's not around yet, so Pluton is a battleship. That's like a physical thing. I'm sure that exists somewhere in the world the Roger Pirates could find. Uranos, still no idea on that. But Poseidon is interesting because it can only exist when a certain pure-hearted maiden mermaid exists, and that only happens once every century, and Shirahoshi's not being born yet. So the idea is Roger got to the One Piece, but it basically said, hey, yeah, congratulations for arriving at Laugh-Tale, but you can't do anything until Poseidon is born, because in order for the One Piece maybe to be activated, you need all three ancient weapons. And like I said, Pluton could be accessible. We have no idea what's up with Uranos, but Poseidon can definitely not be accessible for another 10 years. And even then, even after Shirahoshi's born, she's still just a baby. Okay, and so in order for her to really understand and control her power, she's going to have to grow up at least a little bit here. And the fact is, Roger knew he didn't have that long left. Roger was trying to race to get to Laugh-Tale as fast as possible. Like, he's looking at the Rio Poneglyphs. He's been looking for these for 13 years. He runs across Odin, and he's like, Odin, join my crew for 1 year, and we can make it there. I need to make it there. I need to see that place. I need to conquer the Grand Line before I die. And so they get everybody together, and Roger had the biggity badass crew that you could ever imagine, and they set sail, and they do all these crazy adventures, and they finally make it to their destination, and it's sort of like they're met with like a, out to lunch sign. Sorry, out to lunch. We'll be back in about 10 years or so. So, That's funny. That would definitely, I could see Roger laughing at that, right? You could see like everyone arriving there. It's you get there and it's like, oh yeah, we made it. It's like, yeah, but too early, sorry, nothing you can do. I mean, you can hang out on Laughtail for a little while, take in the sights, but you're not able to access. It's like in a game, you know? It's like if you're in a game and you go into an area, but it's like there's a certain event that's supposed to be triggered there, like Pokemon Crystal or Pokemon Gen 2. I'll just do that. When you go into Elex Forest at the beginning of the game and you encounter the Celebi Shrine, it's just a shrine, especially in the English version, because that Celebi didn't even make it into the English version for some reason. But yeah, it's just a shrine. It's just like an empty shrine. But later on in the game, it's relevant for the Celebi event. Okay, and then you get Celebi there. But when you first encounter it, it's just a thing. So it's just like, yeah, you've made it here. Congratulations. But there's nothing that you can do. And Roger's like, well, I'm going to be dead in less than a year. So I can't wait around for 10 years. There's nothing that can save me. So I traveled the entire ocean, compounded by the fact that the entire world is celebrating Roger as the king of the pirates. And it's just like, that's hilarious. Is that not hilarious? Like, the whole world thinks I accomplished this amazing thing, but it turned out I really didn't. I didn't end up finding out the thing that I wanted to find out. Roger might have found out in words, like, this is what will happen when Poseidon and all the ancient weapons coalesce, and this is the thing that will occur. But you're not going to be able to see that until Poseidon is born. So it's just like, yeah, let's say that is the case. You know, I had that theory. You know, a lot of people had the theory that the Red Line is going to be destroyed by the end of One Piece. You know, that's the whole theme of the story. Like, the Red Line is this ultimate barrier, which might have very well have been created by the world government to divide and conquer somehow, maybe with ancient technology. We'll get back to that in a second. With ancient technology, they created this massive border that's unnatural, that doesn't normally exist in the One Piece world. It's this giant red mountain, this red rock doesn't really exist anywhere else, you know, except for the Red Line. It's a very weird construct, right? So maybe the world government created it, put their capital on the very top of this, divided the world in half so people couldn't ally together and make a giant army to defeat them. Even if you could get a giant army together, I mean, getting all the way to the top of the Red Line is going to be pretty damn tough to mobilize an entire island, or entire army. So the end of One Piece will be the destruction of the Red Line, or maybe not, if not the destruction of the entire Red Line, the destruction of just the critical choke points, where Reverse Mountain is, that'll get destroyed, and then where Marie-Joie is, that'll get destroyed. Now, of course, if that area is destroyed where Marie-Joie is on the top, then the Red Line, then the sea level, and then boom, Fishman at the island at the very bottom, Fishman Island will also get crushed too, which leads into the prophecy that, you know, Luffy or someone wearing a straw hat's gonna lead to the end of Fishman Island. That prophecy could actually take on a double meaning now that I think about it. If Joy Boy was the, you know, the owner of that giant straw hat in Marie-Joie, which I think is very likely, it's very possible anyway, if Joy Boy was the one that originally wore that giant straw hat, and it was because of his actions creating the D-Clan that set this plan in motion 800 years later after the Void Century, and then eventually Luffy's gonna be the descendant of the D that eventually creates this destruction of the Red Line, both Joy Boy and Luffy were both wearing straw hats, so they can both be involved here. You could say the prophecy, that the prophecy tells that Joy Boy will destroy it, or the prophecy will reveal that Luffy's one will destroy it, but that's not what really it means. It means just someone wearing that straw hat, that image is going to destroy it. So you can take both or only one. It's both applicable here, right? So this is the only thing I have that's a little bit of an issue with the One Piece being that we don't know what it is, okay? It seems to imply, like, let's look at it like the One Piece is the lock, and the ancient weapons are 3 different keys. So you got to take the ancient weapons to Laughtail, and metaphorically here, I'm not talking about actual keys and locks, but it's like the One Piece itself are like 3 locks, and you take the ancient weapons and then this activates, okay? So not like a button you just arrive at Laughtail and there's a giant button and it's just boop, and then boom, you know? Because I think, considering the prophecy that Charlie said, you know, the borders between our worlds will be destroyed, and the idea that the Red Line, if the Red Line is gone, then the world will be one piece. You know, I'm not the first person to come up with this idea. This has been around for a while, but I love it. I really like it. Also, keep in mind, though, I think Oda did say in an interview once that if somebody did correctly guess the endgame of One Piece, he would change it, which... that doesn't mean he would just come up with something at the last minute. No, that's not what I took from it. I took from it that Oda has multiple endings in mind. So it's like, oh, if someone guessed that I'm gonna do this, I'll go to ending B, ending C. Oda is not the kind of guy that would just like, oh crap, they figured out my plan. All right, time to write something last minute here. Okay, so Luffy and the Straw Hats arrive at Laugh Tale, and they find the magical mythical magic 8 ball. Okay, and Luffy shakes the magic 8 ball, and a genie pops out, and Luffy wishes that everything's cool in the world, and then the genie makes the world government disappear. You know, like, Oda obviously wouldn't do something like that, but I'm pretty sure he said in an interview, like, yeah, if somebody correctly guessed it, and if everybody knew what was going to happen, I was going to tweak it a little bit. So that has to mean he has different angles that he could take this, right? To make this make sense, right? So yeah, there's that. Okay, so not necessarily a button, because if it was that simple, just get to Laugh Tale, press a button, and then boom, the red line explodes. Roger probably, he probably wouldn't have laughed at that. It doesn't seem very laugh-worthy. And also, why wouldn't he have pressed the button? Because the guy that we've seen with Roger, he kind of probably, he's just like Luffy in a lot of ways. He probably definitely would have pushed that button. No, it's not a button, but it is some kind of mechanism like that. But I feel like the One Piece should be more than just that mechanism, I don't know. I think it's, to be fair, I might just be getting kind of really, really amped up for this, because this is the culmination of a 20-plus year-long serialization manga, one of the most popular in the world, the most popular manga in the world. You want the One Piece to be everything. You want the One Piece to be the thing that's just like, no matter who you are, you're gonna look at the One Piece and being like, this is incredible, this made those 20 years of reading this manga worth it. Well, reading the manga just for the manga's sake kind of, Boa Hancock's boobs kind of made reading this manga worth it, for me anyway. I'm just saying that, if it's just like you get there and it's like, yeah, here's the One Piece. It's a mechanism, and if you put the, ancient weapons, or if you use them at this one point or whatever, then the red line will explode and it will return the world to its natural state, which is One Piece. But I think there's going to be some other stuff involved here. There's going to be some stuff that Roger left behind, like his treasure and maybe the giant Yoshi egg, which I talked about in the last chapter. Maybe there was some other stuff that Joy Boy left. I was gonna throw out the idea maybe there's other people that went to Laugh Tale and left their stuff there, but I think that takes away the magic of it, that Roger was the first person in like 800 years to get there. So let's not include that idea. Let's just say Joy Boy left this mechanism here that includes the ancient weapons, because that all kind of ties back together. The true history, like the last Rio Poneglyph is there, or the last Rio Poneglyphs that you might need to learn about what really happened with the Void Century, that's there. Actually, here's a question with that. We know that from this chart, there are 9 Rio Poneglyphs total. Okay, because that was confirmed during Big Mom's arc, the Totland arc. They're talking about the Poneglyphs, okay? Have we actually yet to see a Rio Poneglyph in the story? Or are they just, like, all 9 of them going to be on Laugh Tale? Because the way that Robin talked about it was like, you get to the last island, that's when you learn the true history. So, I don't think the Rio Poneglyphs are scattered all over the world. And it's very possible the Rio Poneglyphs might be a different color as well. The Road Poneglyphs are colored red to distinguish them from the regular Poneglyphs that talk about history, talk about the ancient weapons and stuff. Because, like, the Poneglyphs that talk about the ancient weapons, they seem like only talk about where the weapons are located. They don't talk about how the weapons were created or the history behind the weapons. Like, the Poneglyph on Skypiea just said, yeah, there's an ancient weapon called Poseidon, it's really dangerous, it's located at Fishman Island. That seems to be all the Poneglyph said at Skypiea. It didn't talk about how the ancient weapon was created or history about the Void Century or anything. It was just talking about the weapon. Same thing at Alabasta. The one at Alabasta was just talking about where Pluton was. Okay, then there's the other Poneglyphs that make up the remainder that just talk about history of specific locations, not the true history of the Void Century. So I think it's very likely that it's possible that all Rio Poneglyphs, all 9 of them, are located on Laugh Tale. Like, you arrive there and you go in the center, there's like, it's like Stonehenge. There's Rio Poneglyphs all around in this circle, and then in the center of the circle, there's this One Piece mechanism where it talks about how you need to include all ancient weapons, and then once you do, then boom, the red line will be destroyed and the world will return to its state. And going back to that, I know I've talked about this a million times, and I said this is kind of a joke in the review, but I started to really think about this, and I'm like, well, I said in the video, it was a joke that, like, Roger discovered, like, the One Piece was a cell phone. Okay, it was a piece of technology, like a modern piece of technology. Maybe not going that far with it, but there is that theory that the world government, like, before they took over, like over 1,000 years ago, well before the Void Century, the world was a lot more technologically advanced than it was when the Straw Hats were born and everything like that. Not to the level of, like, flying cars and, like, virtual reality and, like, smartphones and everything, but it was a lot more, kind of like, think of the technology that's included sort of like with Vegapunk, kind of vaguely steampunkish, you know, it's like there's, like, cyborgs and stuff walking around. Maybe stuff similar to that existed before the world government took over. Then the world government took over, did some horrible things, regressed the world back to where it is now, built the Red Line, all that stuff. That could maybe how the Red Line was created with that special kind of technology, right? Okay. So yeah, not talking about, like, this kind of modern technology, but they arrive at Laugh Tale and they see, like, all this crazy technology, or at the very least, the Poneglyphs and the Rio Poneglyphs discuss this kind of technology. That would definitely make Roger laugh. Like, they find out, like, oh yeah, the world used to be this amazing place, diseases were cured, you know, nobody ever got sick, we had this crazy level of technology that made all of our lives so much easier and better, and all of that got taken away, and Roger would be like, oh, so you mean we've been living in this shitty world our entire lives, and it used to be awesome? Oh, Joy Boy, I wish I could have lived in your time. You know, not because of just, like, it had been nice to meet and pal around with Joy Boy, but it's like, no, I literally wished I would have lived in your time, maybe because Roger, who's on his deathbed, man, if I lived in your time, I wouldn't be dying right now. Well, I would be, you know, I'd have, like, you know, some medicine to cure me. Maybe the people in Joy Boy's age lived forever. They had some technology or some medicine or some apparatus that allowed them to extend their lives indefinitely, and then the world government got involved, screwed all that up, and then, you know, we're at where we're at right now. It's entirely possible. So the idea that the One Piece is some kind of world, not world-destroying, but redline-destroying device, that I think is, to me, that's confirmed. Like, in my headcanon, that's confirmed just from the prophecy of the border being destroyed and the theme of One Piece. That's just something I'm riding with, and it's going to take a lot to get me derailed off that theory. If you don't believe that, that's cool. But I also really want to go along with the theory that, yeah, the technological society idea, I really love that one. So I'm going to be kind of putting my chips onto that one as well, right? So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that and some theories regarding what is located on the final island there. Let me know what you think about the Rio Poneglyphs. Like, has Robin found, because Robin has found a few Poneglyphs throughout her life. You know, has she found a Rio Poneglyph, or are they just going to be all located in the same spot, right? So, that seems to make more sense if they were just all on the same island. That's this mystery island that the world government apparently cannot get to. It would make sense just to leave them all there, right? So, let me know what you feel about that. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Magic 8 Ball, can I end the video now? Concentrate and ask again. Ooh, okay. Can I end the video now? Without a doubt. All right, thank you. Thank you, Magic 8 Ball. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.